There is no question that Theodore Roosevelt is one of the top 5 toughest presidents in the history of the United States. When he was a child, Roosevelt was so sick that his parents didn't think he would survive to adulthood. He had asthma so bad that he took it upon himself to conquer the asthma. He built up his body to overcome his sickness. Roosevelt eventually went off to Harvard, where he joined the Harvard boxing team, and that was a passion of his for the entire rest of his life, including during his time as president. Famously, Roosevelt loved to spar with boxers while president of the United States. He would tell those boxers to not take it easy on him, and they didn't. So much so that Roosevelt got hit in the face so hard that he lost vision in one of his eyes from one of these sparring matches while president. TR is also a man who, when he ran for president as an independent candidate in 1912, was shot by a man in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and after being shot, not before, after, while bleeding through his shirt, he gave a 90-minute speech to a crowd, then went to the hospital. Roosevelt is also somebody who lived through unspeakable tragedy. In 1884, just 2 days after the birth of his first child, on Valentine's Day, no less, TR lost his mother and his first wife, Alice, in the same house on the same day, February 14th, 1884. And with that kind of crushing tragedy striking him, many people would never recover, but not TR. Roosevelt had already fallen in love with the West when he went to the Dakota Territory in 1883 for a bison hunting expedition, and he ended up investing what would be about $500,000 in modern terms into becoming a cattle rancher. So TR started traveling back and forth between his home in New York out to the Dakota Territory. Eventually, after the 1884 presidential election, an election that did not go the way TR had hoped, he decided to make cattle ranching his full-time job for a little while. Roosevelt moved to just outside Medora, North Dakota, to a ranch he built called Elkhorn Ranch. However, the story we're going to talk about today, although we don't have an exact date for it, likely occurred in the summer of 1884. So this was prior to the 1884 presidential election, when TR was traveling back and forth between New York and the Dakota Territory prior to building his ranch. So while traveling in the West and trying to escape the unspeakable grief of losing his wife and his mother on the same day in the same house earlier that year, Roosevelt found himself in Mingusville, Montana. This was about 35 miles west of Medora, which is where Roosevelt would end up spending most of his time later on. So on this trip, TR had been spending most of his time riding through the Badlands and the prairies of the western Dakota Territory. He was also in the eastern Montana Territory. He'd been out there for several days. On this day, in the summer of 1884, TR found himself in the Nolan's Hotel in Mingusville. And it was on that day that Roosevelt encountered a bully who would later wish he never interacted with Theodore Roosevelt. I'm going to let TR tell this story himself because he wrote about it in his autobiography. Quote, "It was late in the evening when I reached the place. I heard 1 or 2 shots in the bar room as I came up, and I disliked going in, but there was nowhere else to go, and it was a cold night." Let me just pause here for a second. TR is walking into a bar where he heard gunshots, and rather than leave the premises, he decides to go in. Let me repeat that one more time. Theodore Roosevelt heard gunshots and went in the bar. Most people would leave the premises, not TR. Here's a guy who had this rancher's outfit made by Tiffany and Company and actually posed for this picture. Not ironically. You think he cares what other people think? I don't think so. That is, of course, unless somebody mentions his glasses. Let's continue. Inside the room were several men who, including the bartender, were wearing the kind of smile worn by men who are making believe to like what they don't like. A shabby individual in a broad hat with a cocked gun in each hand was walking up and down the floor, talking with strident profanity. He had evidently been shooting at the clock, which had 2 or 3 holes in its face. As soon as he saw me, he hailed me as Four Eyes, in reference to my spectacles, and said, "Four Eyes is going to treat." I joined the laugh and got behind the stove and sat down, thinking to escape notice. He followed me, however, and though I tried to pass it off as a jest, this merely made him more offensive, and he stood leaning over me, a gun in each hand, using very foul language. In response to his reiterated command that I should set up the drinks, I said, "Well, if I've got to, I've got to," and rose, looking past him. And as I rose, I struck quick and hard with my right just to one side of the point of his jaw, hitting with my left as I straightened out, and then again with my right. He fired the guns, but I do not know whether this was merely a convulsive action of his hands or whether he was trying to shoot at me. When he went down, he struck the corner of the bar with his head. If he had moved, I was about to drop on my knees, but he was senseless. I took away his guns, and the other people in the room, who were now loud in their denunciation of him, hustled him out and put him in the shed. The next morning, this bully had left town on a freight train, never to be heard from again. TR had experience as a boxer during his time at Harvard. His love of the martial arts was a lifelong endeavor for him. And he was kind of sensitive about being called Four Eyes. You didn't call TR Four Eyes unless you wanted to meet that left and right hand. So that's the night when future President Theodore Roosevelt taught a bully a lesson in the summer of 1884 in Mingusville, Montana. If you like this video, you can help out my channel in a very, very simple way. Most of the people who watch my videos don't take the time to subscribe. It's free. Just hit that subscribe button down below, and better yet, hit that like button and leave a comment. Let us know your favorite story of Theodore Roosevelt or what you liked about this story. If I get to enough subscribers, I'll get one of those cool YouTube plaques, and this would really, really help me impress both my students and my children. You can help me out. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. Tell a friend. You can also become a channel member for just $2.99. You'll see the join button down below this video. Channel members get access to early releases of all of my videos, as well as special behind-the-scenes YouTube shorts, and also a live question and answer session multiple times per month with me. You can join in if you're a channel member. Again, $2.99. We'll see you next time here on Mr. Drosty History.